for the watch.
Hello YouTube and Game of Thrones fans. Almost a year ago, this scene shocked many show viewers when Jon Snow was stabbed to death by his Night's Watch brothers. While book readers knew of Jon's fate, many of the non-book readers were completely blindsided by the loss of one of the show's most beloved and mysterious characters. But as Season 6 is set to release in April, there are still many questions that have gone unanswered about the deceased protagonist. Why was Jon's mother never revealed? Why were there scenes where characters questioned the fact that Ned was Jon's father? And why did the White Walker King have such an intense showdown with Jon that felt like it would foreshadow a greater battle? If you have followed the show closely, you realize that the answers all point to one conclusion, that Jon Snow will be resurrected, and that his lineage plays a role in it. Most fans are already aware of the possibility of Jon's return via Melisandre, but this video is going to examine an uncommon theory regarding Jon's resurrection and why it's important to the ending of the series. So first we are going to examine Jon's lineage. We are almost certain he is a Stark from Ned's reassurance that he has his blood. Also, he looks quite similar to Ned and Benjen in the show, which further helps his claim. But there are two major questions that remain. Who is Jon's mother, and is Ned actually Jon's father? Throughout the show, comments by various characters demonstrate the doubt of Ned's infidelity.
Good.
Lord Commander of the Night's Watch.
And bastard by some tavern slut.
Perhaps, but that wasn't Ned Stark's way.
So if Ned isn't Jon's father, and Jon is a Stark, then it only leaves Brandon, Benjen, and Lyanna as possible parents to Jon. If Jon was a son of one of Ned's brothers, the secrecy behind his lineage wouldn't make much sense. However, if Lyanna was Jon's mother, the secrecy and the significance of Jon's lineage becomes extremely important. And this is the first point in the theory, that Lyanna Stark is indeed Jon's mother.
The next time we see each other, we'll talk about your mother. I promise.
Reeling from the memory of his dead sister, Ned knows he cannot reveal Jon's identity because of the danger it poses to Jon. But why? Because Jon's father is actually Rhaegar Targaryen. From the show we know that Lyanna Stark was kidnapped by Rhaegar, which started Robert's rebellion. But little nuances in the show indicate that Lyanna might have eloped with Rhaegar because she actually loved him. If she had Jon with Rhaegar, it would make sense why there was so much secrecy surrounding his birth. Jon would be a Targaryen, and Robert Baratheon was hell-bent on killing all Targaryens. Keep an eye on Littlefinger's face in this scene.
How many tens of thousands had to die because Rhaegar chose your aunt?
Yes, he chose her. And then he kidnapped her and raped her.
So why does Ned have Jon? In Robert's rebellion we learn that Rhaegar and Lyanna are both killed. But what is included in the book that hasn't appeared on the show yet is the scene at the Tower of Joy. At the Tower of Joy, Ned finds his sister dying and makes her an undisclosed promise. This is likely the promise to take Jon Snow and raise him as his own bastard. It makes sense since a Targaryen Jon would likely be killed by Robert. This also further clarifies why the show continues to develop Lyanna and Rhaegar's stories late into Season 5. Why would they do this if they weren't relevant? Why did the show make Rhaegar seem so likable with Sir Barristan's account of him during his conversation with Daenerys? Maybe because the truth is that Rhaegar didn't kidnap Lyanna, and that they had Jon out of true love for one another. If this is true, it would change the course of the show.
I'm ready to swear your oath.
You don't understand what you'd be giving up. We have no families. None of us will ever father sons.
I don't care about that.
You might, if you know what it meant.
If Jon knew he was a Targaryen and Stark, it would have likely changed his course of actions in the show. However, the sad reality now is that he's dead, and so far the trailer for Season 6 hasn't provided us with solid proof to believe otherwise. But the hints towards Jon's resurrection have been there all along. Most viewers believe that Melisandre's interest in Jon may suggest his resurrection under the Lord of Light. In this video, I'm going to offer an alternate theory. Remember the scene where Jaime spoke to Brienne about killing the Mad King? The clues can be found in that conversation.
When the king turned to flee, I drove my sword into his back. Tell them all, he kept saying. Tell them all. I don't think he expected to die. He meant to band with the rest of us and rise again. Reborn as a dragon, turn his enemies to ash.
So how does this relate to Jon? If Jon is a Targaryen, the possibility of his rebirth in fire exists. Since he has already been stabbed to death, we know that it is common in Game of Thrones for the body to be burned on a pyre. When he is finally burned, I believe he will be resurrected in the fire, reborn a Targaryen. Seeing this, Melisandre will realize that he is the warrior that she had visions of all along. In my opinion, this is the only scenario that could truly explain Jon's lineage. If Melisandre just resurrected him using the Lord of Light, there would be no indication of his Targaryen roots, and his return would be with a questionable purpose. In the books, Melisandre speaks of Azor Ahai, an ancient warrior who yields a fiery sword called Lightbringer to fight off the darkness. Azor Ahai was prophesied to be a direct descendant of the Targaryen bloodline. She believes Stannis was that warrior. If Jon is placed on the pyre with his sword and is resurrected, it will become clear to her that Jon is the warrior she was looking for.
In the ancient books it's written that a warrior will draw a burning sword from the fire. And that sword shall be Lightbringer.
So if Jon does indeed return, the question now remains, what happens next? I'm assuming he will learn of his Targaryen lineage in some shape or form, and I don't expect him to remain loyal to the Night's Watch after his betrayal, and now that technically his death has alleviated him from his oath. So does he just get up and go looking for his next of kin, Daenerys? Well, I doubt it just yet.
A Targaryen, alone in the world. It's a terrible thing.
Mr. Aemon.
I would first expect Jon to worry about some local problems first. He knows the White Walkers are coming, but he needs to find people to lead. He might give a go at bringing the wildlings under his command. He might even attempt to take back Winterfell to give himself a location to set up for his battle against the White Walkers. Jon sees the bigger picture, and knows the White Walkers are his first priority. But in the long run, I do expect him to cross paths with his distant relative Daenerys Targaryen. Ultimately, I expect Daenerys to make it to Westeros, only to eventually be confronted by the White Walker threat. At that point, I expect for Jon and Daenerys' paths to cross, and then imagine them forming an alliance to fight back the White Walker invasion, with the help of Daenerys' dragons. And before or during that alliance, I expect a third Targaryen will be revealed. However, this time, it will be a character that fans of the show and book series are all too familiar with, and might not have seen this coming. I will leave the details in another video regarding the matter, but in short, I expect at some point it will be revealed that Tyrion Lannister is actually the Mad King's bastard son born to Joanna Lannister. With the three Targaryens united, I expect them to take on the White Walker army in an epic battle for the Seven Kingdoms, hence a song of ice and fire. However, until things pan out after this season, I do expect Jon Snow to be back soon.
Try not to worry, Olly. I've been worrying about Jon for years. He always comes back.
I hope this video has answered some questions, and make sure to like it and share it with your friends if it's given you some hope that Jon Snow will be back in Season 6. Take care, YouTube, and make sure to tune in to the premiere of Season 6 of Game of Thrones on HBO, starting April 24th.
Kill the boy, Jon Snow. Winter is almost upon us. Kill the boy. and let the man be born.